We have covered a couple of aspects of cryptocurrency, some of the most important ones in the beginning to make people understand, but how does this really work? People are talking about mining. Can you elaborate a little bit on how does this really function?
Of course, in one way, this is a very, very important aspect, and on the other hand, it just confuses people, right? So, to put it into the simplest possible way, it's, mining is what people do when, what banks were supposed to do. So it's actually signing transactions. Okay, since we already covered that, this is a decentralized peer-to-peer network where, with no need of banks, no need of central authority, now somebody has to do it, right? So what happens is we give this same power that the bank has, we give it to the people. Now, every transaction that happens inside of the mCoin network, it needs to be authorized by the network. Now, in order to do this we have to randomly choose which member of the network is supposed to do that. Now, in order to do that, we have a couple of ways, but the one that we're using is people plug in their computer into the network and share their power, if I should call it like that. The computer power is shared. Now, the person with the biggest or the strongest computer has the most power. But this doesn't mean that he is automatically chosen to be the one who signs the transaction. He just has the best chance to sign the transaction. Okay. Yeah. So there are two analogies that I can use in order to illustrate what actually happens. Now, one of them is, let's say we're playing a lottery. Right? And we have this drawing board, not board, but drawing bucket. Yeah. Okay? And people are throwing in the lottery tickets. Now, every 2.5 minutes, somebody is chosen somebody wins the lottery. Right. Now, let's say there is 10 of us, and we're throwing these tickets into the bucket, and I throw 10 tickets, you throw 20, somebody else throws, 30, and there's 10 of us. One of us is going to be chosen, but it doesn't really necessarily mean that the one who threw the most of the tickets inside is
or has the most power.
Yeah. Or the other analogy is, let's say we're playing the battleships. The game of battleships where you have to throw the bomb in order to, maybe you hit the ship, maybe you don't, right? But now this is a multiplayer battleships, right? Where there is, on the other side there are ships, and on this side there is us, the people who are actually competing to be the ones to sign the transaction. Now, the more of us, the bigger the field.
I see.
Okay, so the bigger the field, and the ship is still just one. Okay, so there is like 10 people throwing the bomb, and in 2.5 minutes, we're probably going to hit it, right? This is how the algorithm works. Now, the more bombs we throw, the more chances we have that we're going to actually hit the ship.
Okay, so what you're saying now is simply that mining, you can compare that with like when we were mining for gold in Yukon and Alaska in the old days.
This is what people like to compare it to, because what happens is the person who is authorized to sign the transaction gets the reward of newly mined coins. Now, what happened to me when I got introduced into the Bitcoin network, they said, you have to do the mining, and because the Bitcoin is not all out there yet. It needs almost 140 years to mine Bitcoin, and it takes 111 years to mine all of the mCoin. Now, I thought, as a non-expert at that time, I was thinking, okay, so that means, one day I will get to a Google webpage, and there is going to be some coin waiting for me, and I just have to click it, because it's hidden on the network. Yeah. But this is not how it goes. It's program-generated coins that we cannot control, right?
So we cannot interfere with this.
No, we cannot interfere. Physically. It's like literally, it's fixed. This is how many coins we get every 2.5 minutes, and this is fixed. Now, the people who get it are the ones who contribute their power, right? Their computer power. Now, what happens, and what's very important, this is how we get a lot of security. Not with 10 people, right? But with, let's say, a couple of thousand people, we got a lot of security, because it's so hard to know who is going to be chosen. Who is going to be the one signing the next transaction? Now, in order for one transaction to be valid, it needs at least six confirmations. Now, 6 confirmations, it has to come in a row, right? So what happens is, if somebody wanted to interfere with the network, or sign a transaction that is not valid, he has to sign it 6 times in a row. Now, if there is 10 of us, what are the chances I'm going to be chosen 10 times in a row, or 6 times in a row? Right? It's very, very small chance.
Slim, yeah.
Now, what happens if there is 1 million of us? What are my chances to be chosen 6 times in a row?
Even slimmer.
Even similar. So this is what mining is, and people don't really need to understand this in order to use cryptocurrency. Now, this is the beauty of it, right? Just if you really want to mine it, that means you want to get the reward of newly mined coins. Then you have to understand what mining is.
Yeah.
But you don't have to understand this if you just want to use it.
But the mining process itself
it's completely automated.
But it's computerized. These are like big computers. I mean, earlier you could actually mine from your own private laptop.
You can
right?
still do it. You can still do it with your own laptop. But let's say this own laptop, again, in lottery, it's just throwing one ticket.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so your chances are very slow. Now, let's say the modern, the specialized equipment is, let's say, throwing 1 million of those tickets in 2.5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So your chances against that one are very small. Now, let's say we have 100 of those very strong ones, and then I'm the one with a very small computer.
Exactly.
Right?
So
my chances are almost zero.
This is literally what we're doing with CoinsRace, right? We're assembling forces and being able to.
Exactly. What we're doing
Right.
in CoinsRace, we're setting up one major force of computers, right? Where each one of them is, of course, standalone,
Mm-hmm.
right? We rent them out to the people. So those people who rent this machine are actually contributing to the security of the network.
Mm-hmm.
Because the more of them, the smaller the chances somebody can actually interfere with it.
Superb.
So that's
Very
that's
well
the
explained. Thank you very much.
Okay.